In this lesson, I'm going to show you Nights in White Satin by the Moody Blues. This is a very simple, even be good for a beginner lesson. There's not a lot of craziness going on in the bass line in this. It's pretty straight ahead, not a huge amount of chords or anything, or a huge amount of notes. It is in 6/8 time, so that is a little bit different. Instead of counting 4 beats per bar, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to count 6 beats per bar. And you're going to count them, let's just say, a little faster, because that's what the 8 means. It's sort of like twice as fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's how many 8th notes there are in the bar. There's 6 of them. You might feel the beat as like 1, 2, like that, 1, 2. But the count of the bar is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's in 6/8 time. And we start on an E. Now, in figuring this out, I just watched their video, and he plays it up on the neck, usually. He's usually higher on the neck instead of down here. So I have charted it that way in the tablature. You can play it however you want, but this is the way I saw him play it. Now, granted, it was just for video. It wasn't really the actual recording, but I would assume that he is playing it that way. So we start. 1, 2. We're just going back and forth from E minor to D. So first we're using this octave in the 5th and sort of sliding down. He's very smooth playing on this part. So I'm sliding off the 5th down to the D. Then there's this slightly strange rhythm on the 2nd bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a rhythm. I mean, it's a natural feeling rhythm. Might look a little strange on paper when you're first looking at it, like there's a little 16th rest, and a 16th and an 8th note. So that's just something to get used to. Try it slow. And that's the intro. And that's really as complicated as the rhythm gets. That would be the trickiest figure in the whole song. Once we get into the verse, which is basically the same thing, it's very simple. Like that. The verse has this, the first 8 bars, or the 8 bars of the verse just repeats twice, so it's very simple. E to D, E to D, C, G, F, and E. One more time. Well, I'm sorry. One more time. And then, once you've done that twice, we go to the chorus, which is an A. And then build up to a C. And then the straight 8th notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the chorus. Pretty straight ahead. So when you go to the A, those are dotted quarter notes, so they have the value of 3/8 notes per dotted quarter note. So when you play A, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. C, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. C. Do, do, do. Then all 8th notes. we're back to the verse again. And repeat and so forth. So after the first chorus, you repeat the verse again, and you repeat the chorus again. And then we have this little break before the solos, and it's all bass here. This is like the bass shining moment. So this is just a minor arpeggio in E minor. Like that. So that bar is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. And you hit a strong note on that last E of the last bar of the break. 1, 2, 3. Now I did that with my third finger. You could do it with your pinky. Or you could play it, if you wanted to play it over here on the D string. I play it like this. Sometimes I might do it that way, just for a stronger attack. Okay, now we're into the solos. Solos, I've noted this on the chart a little strange, just because the first time around of the E to the D, C, and the B7, there's no bass. The bass comes in on that fill, and so I wrote it a bar ahead of the actual solos. That bar doesn't really exist. It's like, it's the end of the first time around. Hopefully that makes sense. It was just the best way I thought to put it in the chart here, without just writing a whole bunch of blank bars, because the chart got a little long. So the first round of the solo, the flute solo, it's just acoustic guitar, bass does not play. So that first 4 bars of the repeated section is without bass. And then when the bass does come in, it's the last 6, 7, 8 of the B7 bar. And what you're doing is playing these grace notes on the high E. 3 of them. So it's on the beat. That. And you really, you only play it the one time through, so I was just repeating it there. So first time around, those first 4 changes, no bass, you fill on the last 3 notes of the B7 bar, go to the E, D, and then to the B7. Now, once you've played that once, we're on to the next bar there, the next line, the E minor. So let's take a look at that here. There's some more of these tricky rhythms. I was mistaken when I said there aren't any more earlier. So the E first, then we go to a C, and then back to the E. The second time on the C, we're using a dotted 8th note. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's a very quick feel. Like that. Hopefully that makes sense. Like that. So that's what that rhythm there on the second C of that line. Let me play you that 4. I'm going to play the whole last 8 bars of the bridge there, starting with the E minor on the second line of that page. So if you notice on the A minor, there's 2 of those dotted eighth notes. So there's 2 of them per 3 eighth notes. This is a tricky thing. We're sort of playing around with polyrhythms between a 4 feel and a 3 feel in a 6/8. So that's the kind of vibe this is. If I were to just play dotted eighth notes over a bar of 6/8, it would be. It sounds like 4/4, right? But if the background is. That's an example of the polyrhythmic nature of this. Okay, so let me do that again from the E minor. So once we get out of that tricky area, everything's pretty straight ahead. Once we get back to the E minor, it's a whole note. And then it's just eighth notes on the D, eighth notes on the C, and then we go right back to the intro. Now, the only thing weird about that is we're sort of missing the last bar of the last group of 4. It's just 3 bars in that last phrase. So don't let that throw you off. It does go back seemingly a bar early. That's just the way the arrangement is. So then you play the intro again, very simple, or you're playing a version of the intro. Just all eighth notes after that first E. And then it's back to the verse. You know, some very end of the verse. Okay, you play verse 3, then you play chorus 3, all the same, everything's the same. Then we've got the tag, which is really sort of a little bit of the chorus tacked on to the end of the song to make the end work out. And this has a very strong rhythm in the drums, where we're doing 16th, 8th, 16th, 8th rhythms. And over 6/8, that sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what that figure, the first 2 bars of the tag sound like. Two bars of C, and then it's really back to the intro vibe. And you end with the low E. And that's it. So yeah, a couple of tricky rhythms. The interesting thing, I guess, on the chart is that we're in 6/8. There's some polyrhythmical aspects, you know, changing between using the dotted eighth figures and some of the 16th, 8th combinations, which might be tricky to read at first, but you know, you've heard this song, I'm sure, quite a few times if you're watching this lesson, or maybe it's new to you, but the rhythms feel natural once you get into the sort of vibe of a 6/8 groove, which, of course, Nights in White Satin is a perfect example of. So there you have it, the Moody Blues, Nights in White Satin.